www.maurice-info.mu.
Honorable Minister of Education and Human Resources, Dr. Vasant Kumar Panwari, Honorable Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development, Mr. Deravi Asomi, representatives from different ministries, Education, Youth and Sports, Environment, representatives from the UNDP, Mauritius, zone directors, rectors of secondary schools, both public and private, headmasters of primary schools, representatives of environmental clubs, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. So, good afternoon, and it's a pleasure for me, on behalf of the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development, to welcome you today to this function in the context of the promotion of environmental responsibility among the youth. First of all, apologies from the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports. He has not been able to come, and also from the UNDP resident representative, Mr. Simon Springett. Environmental education and related awareness programs have always been one of the key activities of the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development. And the main objective for conducting such programs has been to develop a caring and positive attitude among our people towards and for the protection of the environment. Through the different sensitization campaigns, we have thus been keeping the population informed of developments and changes taking place on environmental matters, both at the local and global levels. Today, we all know that our planet is facing a severe global environmental crisis. Commonly, we know full well about climate change, loss of biodiversity, among others. And the phenomenon of extreme weather events, namely torrential rains, heat waves, among others, is also prevalent in different parts of the world. And for a small island state like Mauritius, all this constitutes a serious challenge for our development. We can say that though the majority of our people are aware of the benefits of environmental protection, many do not always adopt an environment-friendly attitude. We therefore have no alternative but to continue with our efforts in sensitizing and encouraging the community to adopt an eco-friendly attitude and take eco-friendly actions. In this line of action, the Ministry of Environment is also helping to empower different target groups, in particular the youth and women, through talks, seminars, and provision of resource materials such as toolkits for teachers on climate change and other issues, activity books and pocket books for students, and so on. We know full well that the youth is a key stakeholder and a motor of change in society. In fact, it is through their energy, motivation, and creativity that the stimulus for change is triggered. With the guidance of teachers and parents, students can develop innovative thinking and initiate proactive actions for the protection of the environment at school and at home as well. The youth, including students, are thus a privileged partner of the Ministry of Environment in implementing environmental projects at schools and in participating in major environmental events like the Earth Day, the World Environment Day, and the Clean Up the World campaign, which we carry out every year. This is why, for many years, the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development has made the sensitization of our youth a centerpiece of its actions to construct an environmentally literate society. So I seize this opportunity to thank all students and the youth in general for their relentless support in our actions to promote a clean and green environment in our country. I also wish to thank the Ministry of Education and Human Resources and the Ministry of Youth and Sports in this endeavor. Once again, I would like to thank you all for your presence today. Our apologies for the inconvenience because of the heat, so we'll try to be quick and short. So as per program, we'll have the opportunity to have a PowerPoint presentation by students.
State Secondary School.
It is a pleasure to be here today with my friends Agnès Raffo, Vanessa Théodile, and Andrew Bernard to present a showcase on the implementation of endemic garden. In our presentation, we are going to give a brief outline of the implementation of our endemic garden. As you can see in this satellite picture taken in 2003, our schoolyard was bare without any greenery. We had to take initiatives to embellish the compound. The work was done at 3 different levels: at management level, teaching staff and non-teaching staff, and class level.
During implementation at management level, the administration has sensitized the staff and the students during meetings and assemblies. An environment club was set up. The forestry department was contacted for obtaining endemic plants. Invitation was sent to NGOs and stakeholders such as hotels in the region for sponsorship of plants. And lastly, there was the launching of gardening competition. At school level, there were awareness campaigns during school assemblies. Regular meetings are held with the Environment Club and reports are sent to the Ministry of Education. As you can see in the pictures, during main events like Independence Day celebration and Environment Day, endemic trees are planted in the schoolyard. At class level, it was the pre-vocational students that initiated the project of planting endemic trees in the compound, and this was followed by the active participation of the whole school. Visits were made to conservation sites such as Îlots des Vets, Black River Nature Park, and to nurseries for further exploration of endangered species.
Now we move on to the difficulties encountered during the implementation and the various ways used to tackle them. Trees were left without care during school holidays, so, at the request of the teachers, some students accepted to come during the holidays. Trees were cut by contractors while cutting the grasses, and as soon as the management was informed of the problem, the rector sensitized the contractors on the importance of endemic plants. We have frequent water shortages during drought periods. What the students did was to water the plants earlier in the morning and using stored water from water tanks. Some plants were affected due to diseases and or the presence of weeds. Therefore, we had to prune the plants and remove the weeds at regular intervals. We also had a poor and difficult soil composition due to materials which were buried during the construction of our school. We had to derog the planting areas and overturn the soil for a better composition. At serious points in times, there was a lack of motivation among the students. With this problem, the Environment Committee of the school decided to organize competitions and rewards to keep them motivated.
Today, we are proud of our achievements. We have more than 20 endemic plants that are being regularly maintained in the yard, and they are Trocheta botaniana, bois d'ébène, bois de chandelle, hibiscus genévie, bois de sarguet, bois de pomme de renette, bois d'olive, bottle palm, fleur de lys du pays, and other endemic plants. Our school has been ranked in Zone 4 as having the more green spaces as compared to other schools. Other recognitions are: we have been awarded a shield by the Jeune Chambre Internationale for our participation in the Think Green campaign. We have received a certificate of participation for the Earth Day 2011. We have been invited to present our project during MID Club's meeting.
Other initiatives that are being implemented are as follows. The students started a school garden which provides the opportunity for them to develop gardening skills during their activity periods. Since the launching of the Green School project by the Ministry of Education and Human Resources, we are involved in waste segregation and reuse.
Now we move on to the factors contributing to our success, namely commitment and leadership of the rector, continuous support of active educators, dedicated students of the Environment Club, collaboration of the community, and finally, recognition from the Ministry of Education and HR and the Ministry of Environment.
To conclude, we can say that as compared to the situation at the start of the school, now we really have an endemic school whereby we have much more green spaces, and we have also been able to instill a green culture among the students over the years. The way forward of the school is to affix nameplates to all the endemic plants in the yard, to have a second endemic garden with the help of the Ministry of Environment, to continue organizing gardening competition, to maintain the motivation among students and the staff, and also continue our participation in the greening of the schoolyard. Thank you for your kind attention.
Our true success story, implementation of waste segregation project. I present myself to Maria, my friend Lorraine, Lovishka and Rihanna. Our objective of this presentation is to showcase implementation of waste segregation in our school. The inauguration of this project was done by our honorable ministers in our school. First of all, what is waste segregation? Waste segregation is the separation of waste into organic, plastic, papers and batteries. At the start of the project, the objective was set and an outline for the implementation of waste segregation project were devised. We started with the awareness campaign. The school was informed about the waste segregation project during the assembly, and also each class was sensitized by the MIT and Environment Club members. After that, we proceeded with the collection and recording of waste. Each type of waste were collected from each class during the activity period, which were afterward recorded and placed in their respective bins and polybags. Most of the waste we got were from home by students from the staff room. Additionally, we got much help from the nearby community. Restaurants, shops, watchmaker shops and many more collaborated a lot in this project. Now my friend Noreen will continue on how waste were collected and recorded.
We proceeded with the recording of waste, beginning with papers. The papers were stacked and their thicknesses were measured. They were then sent to the Green Nature Company for recycling. Afterwards, the PET butters were counted and sold at 9 rupees per kilo to the Polypet factory. As for the batteries, they were also counted, recorded, and then sent to the post office and to the Mauritius Telecom. Here is a sample of a recording sheet in which the weights were recorded for each class. This is our achievement for the waste segregation in 2013. For the PET butters, it has amounted up to 6 polybags. As for the papers, we got 2 polybags, and the batteries, we got about 10,000 of them. And the revenue we obtained by selling those wastes were used to buy fences and metal labels for our endemic gardens. Seeds were also bought for the backyard gardening. Now my friend Rihanna will continue.
As all projects, we also encountered some difficulties at start. Not enough waste were brought. Only few students were sensitized. No transport facilities for paper collection, that is, transport fee was costly. The overcoming difficulties of a strong sensitization campaign was set up. A competition was organized and the class bringing the maximum amount of waste was rewarded. Transport problem for paper was solved by Nature and Science Company, which sent their lorry to collect the papers. The organic waste were used to make compost at school. Composting is nature's process of recycling decomposed organic materials into a rich soil known as compost. These are organic materials that can be put in a compost bin. These organic wastes were obtained from canteen, staff room, schoolyard, and then placed in the green bins. And now my friend Lavishka will continue.
How was compost made at school? First of all, the caretakers collected the organic waste and placed in compost bins. Secondly, these organic waste were mixed and turned every week. Finally, after 3 to 4 months, compost were produced and was then used in the garden. Our endemic garden is another successful project. The factors that have contributed to the success of the project are: firstly, leadership and commitment by the rector, the dedicated team comprising of teaching and non-teaching staff, the active participation by students, parents and community have helped enormously, and finally, the commitment of recycling companies. After analyzing the above issue, we may conclude that our objectives of the project have been met. The entire school has participated, and the students are being the ambassadors from home to school. To sum up with this project, what our school intends to do is to continue and improve our project at school, to sensitize and develop the habit of recycling, to use the 2,000 rupees given by the Ministry of Environment so as to pursue our environmental projects. Thank you for your kind attention.
Honorable Vyaswamy, Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development, heads of schools and educators present, presidents of environment clubs, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear students. I feel really privileged this afternoon to be associated with this ceremony organized for the launching of a toolkit on climate change and an activity book on how to protect the coastal zone for our primary schools pupils. This moment is indeed most appropriate for us to equip our young people with the necessary tools to be able to face the daunting challenges of climate change and problems of coastal degradation and erosion and pollution of our beaches. This moment is indeed very crucial to all of us, and it is high time to take concrete actions and show our concern for our environment, especially when we are all engaged in the national project of Maurice Île Durable. It is indeed very important for our ministry to inculcate in our young generation the importance of a healthy and clean environment and teach them how to be prepared to face problems of climate change as well. Since their initiation, our environment clubs have taken several good measures to overcome challenges over the past years, so far as environment protection is concerned, of course, under the guidance of heads of schools and PTAs. Now, I wish to congratulate these students for our showcase. In fact, they are good models for others to copy. The changing climate impacts on society and our ecosystems in a broad variety of ways. Climate change can increase or decrease rainfall, influence agricultural crop yields, affect human health, cause changes to forests and other ecosystems, or even impact our energy supply. Climate-related impacts are occurring across different regions of our country and across many sectors of our economy. Many states and local governments are already preparing for the impacts of climate change through adaptation, which is planning for the changes that are expected to occur. The climate of the earth is getting warmer, and the signs are everywhere. Rain patterns are changing, sea level is rising, and snow and ice are melting sooner in the spring. As global temperatures continue to rise, we will see more changes in our climate and in our environment. These changes will affect people, animals, and ecosystems in many ways. Less rain can mean less water in some places, while too much rain can cause terrible flooding. We have undergone tragic moments as a result of flooding in many parts of our island. More hot days can dry up crops and make people and animals sick. In some places, people will struggle to cope with a changing environment. In other places, people may be able to successfully prepare for these changes. The negative impacts of global climate change will be less severe overall if people reduce the amount of greenhouse gases they are releasing into the atmosphere, but worse if we continue producing these gases at current or faster rates. It is high time for our young generation to be better equipped to face challenges of climate change. Our ministry has already taken actions to sensitize our students on the effect and mitigation of climate change through talks and eco-friendly actions at school level. We have been supported all the way through by the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development, and I wish to congratulate my colleague for his constant support. A toolkit on climate change will be launched today, and going through it, dear students, you will be better informed about climate change. The toolkit is about 111 actions for youth to combat climate change in Mauritius. It comprises 111 actions to inspire, inform, and involve the youth in taking action to combat climate change. It is meant to trigger actions at individual, family, school, and community levels whereby people can adopt mitigation measures to reduce greenhouse gas emissions as well as adaptation measures to respond to impacts of climate change. It consists of understanding climate change, communicating on climate change, ways you can reduce greenhouse gas emissions, ways you can respond to climate change, and when to start dealing with significant change in the distribution of weather pattern. We are indeed lucky to be living in an island which is said to be the star and the key of the Indian Ocean. Island Mauritius is also known as the Paradise Island for its panoramic landscape, its good climate, and its peaceful environment. In order to keep our island evergreen and always shining in the Indian Ocean, we need to take eco-friendly initiatives to preserve its beauty and maintain its clean environment. In line with the project Maurice Île Durable, the government of Mauritius has taken a very laudable initiative as main objective to safeguard the social, economic, and environmental landscape of our Paradise Island. By the way, you have surely seen pictures and watched movies that show different natural calamities related to global warming. It is an issue that all of us should take at heart, as we human beings are partly responsible of this alarming situation that our planet Earth is facing today. Due to our bad habits, we are disturbing the peaceful environment of the planet by causing a lot of harm to all living species in the universe. My dear children, it is high time for us to show our concern for our planet Earth and start petty actions which will contribute to Maurice Île Durable. You should make efforts to have a clean and healthy environment prevailing in our island and on our beaches as well as in our lagoon. While engaging in environment-friendly habits, we will definitely contribute to make our island even more beautiful, making it welcoming to a greater number of tourists, thus raising the national economy. We can make of Mauritius a place where everyone can live in peace and harmony. An activity book is also being launched today. Your friends Bulbul and Pik Pik will take you to the seaside, and through this activity book they will also show you some actions that you should take and some that you should avoid in order to keep the beaches and the lagoon clean. Finally, by taking these concrete actions, you will contribute to promote a clean and healthy Mauritius and become responsible citizens of tomorrow. Your school will be remitted with compost bins, as you are being encouraged to dispose all biodegradable waste to produce compost that you may use in the plantation, in the kitchen gardens, in your schools. I know that many schools have also been donated bins to sort out litters and compost bins under the Karimjee Foundation. However, this additional compost bin will help you to produce more compost, which you may also sell in the immediate vicinity of our school, of your school. My dear students, the future of our motherland lies in your hands. Government has a lot of hope in the youth of today to transform our island into that Maurice Île Durable. I wish you all the best in your endeavor to make this island a peaceful and enjoyable place to live in. I wish to take this opportunity to congratulate all those who have participated, those who have shown us what they are doing at school. This, in fact, is not well known, I believe, and I will call upon all our people in the Ministry of Education to make sure that people do know what you are doing at school. It goes in your honor and in the honor of the country. Let me wish you all the best in your studies, my dear students, and may you all have a very bright future ahead. Thank you for your attention.
I am very pleased to be here this afternoon for the function on the promotion of environmental responsibility among the youth. The main objective of our gathering here today is to kickstart a program for our children and youth of Mauritius on environmental responsibility, climate change and sustainable development through the release of necessary tools and resource materials. In fact, in line with the National Climate Change Adaptation Policy Framework developed by my ministry, we are launching today 3 pedagogical tools on climate change and coastal preservation developed by my ministry in collaboration with stakeholders concerned. They are namely: 1, a training manual for youth on climate change; 2, a toolkit containing 111 actions for youth to combat climate change; and thirdly, an activity book for Standard 4 children on ways to preserve our coastal zone. Today, no one is spared from the impacts of climate change, be it developed countries like the United States of America or small island developing states like Tuvalu or Mauritius. We have recently witnessed floods in America, Europe, India, and the devastating cyclone Ayang in the Philippines. According to the Center for Research and Epidemiology of Disasters of World Meteorological Organization, more than 370,000 people died as a result of extreme weather and climate conditions, including heat waves, cold spells, droughts, storms, and flood between 2001 and 2010. Mauritius is no exception. In fact, we are already experiencing the impacts of climate change through accelerated sea level rise, accentuated beach erosion, and the increase in the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events. The flash flood which hit Port Louis on the 30th March 2013 as a result of torrential rains is evidence of our vulnerability to the impacts of climate change. With the advent of cyclones and storm surges and sea level rise, the coastal zone of Mauritius has been degraded in several places and is exposed to risk. Changes in the current patterns within the lagoon have also accelerated the sand movement, causing accretion in some places and depletion in others. As such, several public beaches, namely Rochemort, Bonne-Molke Public Beach, Tour de Douce, Bois des Amourettes, and Rivière des Créoles, have been eroded. We are fully conscious that the challenges ahead are huge. As a responsible government, we have placed climate change high on our agenda. With a view to address the challenge of climate change, a series of measures have been taken by my ministry to enhance the resilience of our country and to minimize the impacts of climate change. I will quote just a few. First, the Maurice Durable Strategy and Action Plan was approved and released last year. This is a comprehensive and holistic program for the sustainable development of our country. It encompasses various segments of society, including the education sector. Hence, all our schools, together with teachers and students, will be taken on board to realize the Maurice Durable vision for a sustainable island. Two, a national climate change adaptation policy framework has been developed to help mainstream climate change in our core development policies with the aim of fostering the development of strategies, plans, and activities to minimize and adapt to the negative effects of climate change in the key sectors of our economy. Third, a technology need assessment has also been completed, whereby 12 technologies have been prioritized for enhanced climate change mitigation in the energy sector and adaptation in other sectors like agriculture, water, and the coastal zones. The above-mentioned documents, which will provide for long-term planning, are coupled with other measures. As you are aware, climate change is going to last for decades. One of the most effective and sustainable solutions to abate this phenomenon is the promotion of climate change literacy, which is a vital tool aiming at building resilience against climate change and extreme events. In this context, my ministry has, under the Africa Adaptation Program, trained some 2,600 professionals from various sectors such as planning, engineering, architecture, education, environment, administration, law and health. Moreover, some 25,000 people have been sensitized on climate change across the country. A climate change information center has also been set up at my ministry and is accessible to professionals, students, and the public at large. I would like here to invite teachers and students to visit our Climate Change Information Center so as to learn more about this phenomenon and to collect updated data. In our quest to share this data with neighboring countries, we are looking forward to make of this center a regional climate change information hub for Eastern African region in the near future. This center is connected in line with NASA and the Meteorological Center, and the world emission of CO2 as of February 2014 was 397.5 ppm. As you are aware, when we reach 400 ppm, we know that we are in danger. We, the whole world. Although climate change affects individuals of all ages, younger people are more likely to bear a particularly heavy burden because they would have faced this challenge all throughout their lifetime. Children and youth account for nearly 40% of the world's population, and they are the most vulnerable to climate change. Very often, natural disasters force children and youth to leave their homes and for other places, as we have seen following the passage of Cyclone Haiyan in Philippines. Dear students, it has always been the policy of my ministry to involve key stakeholders in the implementation of environmental projects. This is why school children and the youth have been encouraged to participate fully in environmental activities. As of today, endemic gardens have been set up in some 145 schools. Moreover, under the tree planting campaign, which started last year, some 3,000 trees have been planted in our schools. Pupils and teachers have thus been sensitized on the importance of preserving our biodiversity through the propagation of threatened endemic plant species. Moreover, all the primary and secondary schools in Mauritius and Rodrigues have been provided with waste segregation bins and compost bins. Today's function is yet another opportunity of acceding to the request of secondary schools by providing 2 more compost bins to each of them.
Il faut sensibiliser les enfants parce que c'est la génération de demain et comme on disait, l'avenir du pays et même du monde se trouve dans leurs mains. Donc les de nous une bonne connaissance, une connaissance exacte de la situation aussi parce que nous ne pouvons pas oublier que tout ça, les gars qui nous trouvent, qui nous prennent conscience et puis nous essayer tout bon moyen pour corriger, c'est des gars qui ne créent pas l'homme même, ça comme on dirait dans le discours, c'est pas créé par l'homme. Nous finissons par pourrir inutilement, nous finissons construire, mettre béton, concret partout, sans prendre en considération qui peut passer en bas la terre, nous ne bloquons pas nos terrains, et nous finissons tirer du sable côté pas bizarre, nous finissons zéter côté pas bizarre. Tout ça fait créer un problème dans le monde. Et nous pouvons trouver l'effet de ce problème-là. C'est nous pouvons essayer de corriger, de bien corriger. Et c'est la génération montante qui d'abord prend conscience et puis trouver qui a le moyen qui est bien pour capable rectifier le tir. Mais moi, je crois que c'est à l'école que ça doit s'apprendre et ça doit même se pratiquer, pas seulement pour donner à ces enfants-là une connaissance qu'ils ont besoin, mais à travers eux, touche toute la population. Parce que dans l'état dans la case, c'est un parent, un grand-parent et un camarade qui, si je te sensibilise. À l'école, nous pouvons faire un pilier, moi, je dire, du développement durable. C'est-à-dire qu'on a trouvé tout à l'heure, il y a une ségrégation des ordures. Les enfants, c'est comme ça, je boute les doigts. Et moi, toute la population aussi apprend des œufs qui qualité ordure, dans quelle qualité poubelle. Mais quand il y a une ordure organique, on est capable de travailler avec lui. On fabrique compost dans les écoles, on peut fabriquer. François et Giraudet, à plein de maillons, peut faire ça. Et il me fait que demander qu'il y ait une confirmation, ça compost ça, je peux vendre la communauté autour, la communauté des fermiers autour. Donc il y a un win-win ça. Je gagne revenu aussi en même temps. Oui, dans ma plantation d'arbres qui peut faire à plein dans les écoles, il me fait encourage pour plus encore beaucoup d'espace vert dans les écoles qui visent beaucoup d'espace dans les écoles qui visent planter. Dit de nous l'ombrage, dit de nous l'environnement meilleur, de une meilleure température. Sans bien entendu, nous avons besoin d'espace pour les enfants, qu'on galope aussi, sans pas mettre plantes partout, mais avec intelligence, nous connaissons comment faire. Et la photovoltaïque, là, nous avons demain même, on a un projet qui vient de l'avant, quand nous pouvons mettre photovoltaïque l'eau, toi des écoles, qui pour fabriquer le courant. Hein, nous avons tout ce projet-là qui nous veut faire NDLE dans les écoles, et donc un développement durable qui prend ce forme. Les enfants peuvent apprendre bien. Donc, je veux dire qu'ils me satisfait et qui nous disent, quand nous avons des modèles qui nous trouvent devant nous là, faire répliquer. Déjà, dans les autres écoles, on peut faire les autres programmes. Hein. Mais pas assez entendu, mon compte nos autres, pour que faire du monde connaît qui nous peut faire. Qui ban les enfants peut faire dans les écoles, dans sa
Des tissus bien avec eux, vous retombez au voyage,
oui, extrêmement bien, mais seulement pour faire un petit. Sûrement, bien parce qu'il y a tellement de choses là-dedans et on connaît vraiment depuis le début jusqu'à la fin, jusqu'au moment pour remettre les pieds dans l'avion, il y a un travail puis faire même et retomber puis venir même. Mais je veux dire qu'il est extrêmement satisfaisant et ce qui me surprend le plus, c'est qu'il partout où on allait, je t'introduis un mot dans le micro, etc. Et partout où on allait, je suis bien au courant de ce qu'il nous veut faire à l'Église. D'accord? Moi, je suis agréablement, bien sûr. Un peu surpris, je veux dire, parce qu'il ne va pas s'attendre qu'il y ait un petit détail. Comme on peut dire, là, c'est qu'il faut faire dans l'environnement, dans les écoles, pas comme ça. Et je peux dire, dans certains domaines, quand il est adapté dans la causerie, je dis au ministère, introduire telle chose. Là, on peut introduire les exercices, le yoga dans les écoles, les méthodes anti-stress, qui pourraient être bien rapides là. Hein. Mais ça m'a quelque chose là, il déjà existé partout en Inde, mais dans beaucoup d'écoles, pas seulement en Inde, dans le monde entier, mais là, on fait cause l'Inde parce qu'ils ont sorti une audition là-bas. Mais il y a beaucoup de développement à faire pour des bonnes enfants préparés pour capable, quand je quitte l'école, faire face véritablement et fortement avec un aléa de la vie. Ça, me considérer qu'il y a autant de devoirs qui fait autres réussir dans cet examen et gagner un bon certificat. Tous les visas ensemble. C'est ça mon but.
Et entre-temps, dans la liste 500 classés qui sont sortis, est-ce qu'ils ont gagné le 24 lauréats?
Ça, on pensait d'ici un mois, comme l'année dernière. L'année dernière, tu prends un petit peu plus de temps parce qu'on nous tient en rodage, mais ça n'en est rien.
100% libre, vivez les grands faits de l'actualité mauricienne avec du son, de la vidéo et de la photo. L'info qu'il vous faut de l'île Maurice, c'est www.maurice-info.mu.